All right, we're live. Let me look at my little. We're going to start right at 4 o'clock here. Can you guys hear me? If you can hear me, I'd love for you to type in that you can hear me. Yes, we can hear you. Excellent. All right, everyone. We're going to start the webinar right at 4 o'clock here in about 2 minutes. Go. Okay. Let's see here. We got this. We got that. We're ready. One second. All right, we'll wait for another minute, see if a couple more people, and then we'll do it. I'm not making you exercise during this. We're taking notes, folks. Taking notes. All right. Okay, here we go. Let's get started. Really excited about this. The webinar has begun. I've got some notes to my right here, so I'm going to be looking to my right like this quite often. I want to make sure I cover everything I have planned. I've been working on this for a while, so let's get into it. So my name is Brent Fikowski. I've been doing CrossFit for almost 8 years now. I started CrossFit originally. I was a competitive volleyball player and a swimmer before that. And when I was playing competitive volleyball, about the age of 21, I wanted to become better at volleyball. I wanted to jump higher. And so I started doing CrossFit. And before I knew it, I found myself in a couple small competitions, really enjoyed it, started training harder, started training more, started focusing on all the little details. And I went to my first regional competition in 2013 and went to regionals every year after that, had some close finishes, never quite cracked through to the games. It was awfully close. And then finally in 2016, won my first regional and made it to the games, placed fourth. And since then, I won 3 regionals in a row, went to the games 3 years in a row, placing fourth, second, and fourth. And then I won a sanctioned event. And I came to the games this year, got 23rd. And then I just won another sanctioned event in Dubai, the Dubai CrossFit Championship, just recently, which was really exciting. And here I am now. And my nickname is the Professor. I've been doing CrossFit a long time, and I got the nickname for the Professor by just taking all the little details in, right? Just doing all the little things I could do right. Not always working maybe harder than everyone, but trying to work smarter, trying to outthink everyone, trying to be one step ahead, trying to be thoughtful, trying to be mindful, trying to always have a strategy, have a pacing plan, have everything planned out, and really just give what it means to me is to give my best, to be the best version of myself every single time I compete, every single time I train, to worry less about what everyone else is doing. And when I finish an event, finish a workout, I say, hey, that might not have been the best score in the world, but that is the best possible score I could have given. And that's always something that I really pride myself in. And I think I do a really good job of that. So I started the Professor Project in 2018. It was a way for me to try to give back to people doing CrossFit and sort of try to teach them my ways and try to explain everything that I've learned that I think's worked really well for me, and try to give it back and try to codify it into videos, into speeches, into documents, and into things like this, so I can sort of explain to you and teach you, what I've done. Moving more efficiently, moving more thoughtfully, training more thoughtfully. including things like how I prepare for competitions, pacing, and obviously that's what we're going through today. So the big promise here is for the next 60 or so minutes, I'm going to be talking a lot, and I'd love for you to listen. I'd love for you to learn from me on how to prepare for competition and really just be equipped for anything that might come your way in a competition. Just get organized, get prepared. This is how I do it, right? This is how I've been doing it since about 2013, 2014, when I really started to take this stuff super seriously. This is what I've done at the games when I got silver at the games. This is the same kind of stuff I did in Dubai. These are the rules I live by every regionals I've been to. This is the real stuff. This isn't something I just sort of, whip together that's, for this is what I do. And I've been trying to really like nail it down so I can explain it, so I can teach it. And I'm excited to share it with you. So it's pretty simple. It's pretty methodical, but there's a lot, right? And I think that's the thing is there's nothing, there should be a few things in here that maybe are light bulb moments, but a lot of it's like, oh, that makes sense. I should do that. The difference is I do it, right? I do all these things. I do them all every single time, as opposed to, oh yeah, I know I should do that, and then I don't do it. So that's going to be the real difference here. And it blows me away that a lot of my competitors, a lot of people I've competed against for years, they don't, right? They don't do these little things that I think are really obvious. And I think that if a lot more people did these things, a lot more people would be a lot better. And so hopefully for those of you that are watching, this really helps you improve. And my thing is leaving everything on the competition floor and being just really proud and honest with my results. I try never to finish a competition publicly or privately saying, oh, I could have done better here, I could have been better there. It's like, you know what, that was me, right? Like that was a result of my preparation. That was a clear display of my abilities, and I gave everything I had. And that's what I want to that's what I want from you as well when you're watching this and going into your next competition or just even your next training session, to give a clear portrait of what you're capable of right there on the competition floor. So at the end of this webinar, it's going to be another 55 minutes here. I'm going to give you my sort of secret single day prep list. I've got this checklist that I go through for every single competition workout I do. And so I'll keep these with me in my bag. I'll work on these leading up to the competition, and then you can have this checklist. You can use it yourself, print it out, maybe keep it digitally on your phone. And it's a good way to just keep track of everything that you need for your competition. So that'll be right at the end of the webinar. So please stick around for that. I've tweaked it, and I've been tweaking it really for years, about 6 years now. So super excited about that, to give you guys that at the end here. And so one of the big things, let's get into it here. One of the big things I tell the Professor Project Premium members all the time is full focus, right? Full focus, extreme ownership of everything that you're doing. If something goes wrong, it's your fault, right? It's on you. And so that starts right now. Let's be deliberate. I expect the same right now. I'd love for you, right now I don't have anything else. I'm not checking my phone. I don't have any music going, and I'd love for you to do the same. Try to get somewhere quiet, sit down, pen and paper, maybe typing on your laptop, and just get ready to type some notes out. Do this for yourself. Don't do it for me. Do it for yourself the next 55 minutes here. Commit to it. Take some notes, learn from this, and then pass it obviously to yourself, this knowledge to yourself, but maybe you help some other athletes in your gym and you can pass it on to them as well. So commit to this, get your pen and paper, let's lock in. So I did mention this before briefly, but so why are you listening to this? Why me? And why am I maybe the best guy to help you planning this competition? Well, so you're here. So I probably sent you here, maybe through my Instagram or through the Professor Project. But it's really just because I think I'm one of the most thoughtful, deliberate guys in this sport, and gals. And competition preparation is a strategy. It's not something that just is going to happen without you thinking about it deliberately, without you deliberately putting something into it. And that's what I've been doing. And it's something I've been teaching as well for the past year and a half through the Professor Project. And I think I'm getting pretty good at it. And I hopefully by the end of this, I can prove to you that I really do know what I'm talking about. And the idea here is, for me to help you control your outcome and really take charge of your own preparation. Back in 2013, where a lot of this started, one of my first few competitions, I really didn't prepare well enough for this local comp. I just sort of rolled up to it and laced up my shoes and got going. And it didn't go as well as I wanted to. And I left feeling really kind of hollow, really disappointed. And I told myself, I'm not going to make that mistake again. And so it was then I really started, making these lists, mastering these lists, refining my process. And, the more you learn after every single competition, the more I've added to all these things. And so I'm going to share those with you here. And I've used these for all my competitions, right? Even just the most recent one in Dubai, and the games as well. So whether you compete in a CrossFit competition or not, you can understand that it can be stressful, right? It's obviously really hard on the body, but your mind just starts to wander. You're going to forget stuff, whether that's on the floor, things you thought you were going to remember to do, and then you're going to forget to do them on the competition floor. You're going to forget items. You might forget, shoes or a certain pair of socks you need or your grips. You're going to have bad judging calls. Everything's going to be changed. They might change the heat assignments, all that sort of stuff. So one thing I try to remind people of, this is one of the first golden tidbits, and this is why I've gotten so thorough with my competition preparation, is you only have 10 good decisions a day. So write that down. You only have 10 good decisions a day. And when you're competing, I want all of those 10 decisions to happen between 3, 2, 1, go, and when you cross the finish line in those 2 or 3 events. And the idea behind that, you're like, well, what does that functionally mean? And what that means is the entire day you should have planned. You should know exactly what you're eating, where you're eating it, how you're cooking it. You should know when you're getting in the car. You should make sure your car has enough fuel in it. You should know exactly what you're wearing. You should know exactly what you're packing. You should have packed already. You should know what the venue is going to look like. I'm going to go through all these things, but I want you need to be your own support staff. You need to be your own army. When you're a fighter at a professional level, you're going to have dozens of people around you helping you out. Well, that has to be you. If you're not a pro, and even I'm a pro and I don't trust too many people, I do it. So you want those 10 good decisions from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed to happen on the competition floor. You're making those split-second, really difficult decisions in the heat of competition. And you need to have that freedom and that relaxation leading up to the event, so you're ready to do that. If you're deciding what color underwear to wear in the morning and what am I going to eat for breakfast and all this stuff, by the time you compete, you're going to be exhausted. And you're not going to have that kind of juice to put in and mentally just make these decisions on the fly while you're competing. So imagine getting through a competition weekend, maximizing your recovery, mastering your mindset. You've got your meals planned, your strategy, your cues. You've been your own support staff, and you finish and you just say, man, I just did my best and I had a great time. I know for me, I'll have the plan A, I'll have a plan B, I'll have a plan C. I'll stick to those things. I pace appropriately. And then I really thrive during those moments in competition. So it feels really good to do that, even though your body, no matter what, it's going to be wrecked. I want you to try to experience that the next time you compete. So here we go. So this is topic number 1. That was kind of like just a big, long intro. Topic number 1 is preparing for a CrossFit competition. All right. So this is topic number 1. So my goal, I want you to have 4 goals. And really, these are the 4 goals that I have going into any competition. Goal number 1, finish as high. These are in no particular order. Goal number 1 is finish as high as I can. Now, notice I'm not saying win. I'm saying when the dust settles and the competition finishes, I want to be able to say, you know what, with my abilities, with the other athletes that were there, and with the workouts that were programmed, I did the best I could and I finished as high as I could have. So that's number 1. Number 2, have fun. Number 3, learn a lot. Number 4, excited to do it again. I don't want to finish a competition, and go to the ends of the earth exhausted and just like, I never want to do that again, right? I want to do it again because for me, this is, I love this stuff and I want to be able to do it again. I want you to want to do it again and not be so burnt out after an event that you feel like, you know what, I'm never going to do that again. So finish as high as I could have fun, learned a lot, grow, which is what learning is, growing from it, and then excited to do it again. Talked about this earlier, extreme ownership. Really your experience and what's nice about those 4 things is those are completely up to you, right? If your single goal going into a competition is getting on the podium, at the end of the day, that isn't up to you, right? If there's 4 other people there, 3 other people there that are way, way better than you, it doesn't matter what you do, you're not going to get on the podium. So those 4 things are completely up to you. There's no excuses for you not to do those things other than your lack of preparation, your lack of execution. And execution mostly comes down to your ability to prepare, right? If you're prepared, you're more likely to execute. Be proud of what you've done. Show it all on the floor, no regrets, and nothing to fall back on. Too often I see people leave so many things up to chance. And I really think the reason they do it, and maybe this is you, I hope it's not you, but if it's you, or if it's someone you know, call them out on it, call yourself on it, call out yourself on this. And you might be one of those people that leaves a lot of things up to chance. And really the reason they leave it up to chance is so that when things go badly, they can blame it on that. Oh, I didn't get a good night's sleep this week. I didn't get much to eat this morning. I just had an apple. And it's like, why didn't you have a proper breakfast? Right? Why didn't you get better sleep? Oh, the dog was barking and, all this stuff. And it's like, all these things that are in your control, and you're acting like it's someone else's fault. It's your fault. So really take control over all those details. We're going to get into what those details really are. Probably one of my biggest tips for anyone planning for a competition preparation, is nothing new on race day. You shouldn't be trying anything new on race day. So obviously I'm giving you a bunch of stuff today, and a lot of this might be new to you, but what I don't want you to do is to implement a lot of these new things like the first morning of your competition. You need to start slowly preparing these things and adding these into your lifestyle, so that by the time you get to your competition, you're at least somewhat familiar with these topics. So I don't want you using new shoes on your first competition. I don't want you using a new t-shirt, new knee sleeves, new wristbands, eating something different, drinking different types of water, drinking different protein powder, you name it. Don't try anything new. So don't try anything new, nothing new on race day. When in doubt, when the workout's announced, you say, well, how would I do this if this was in class? Would I wear grips for this? If this was in my training and this is in my group, what would I wear in class? What would be my strategy? And usually that's going to be your best plan. Don't try and do something just because you see everyone else there maybe not wearing grips. But if you usually wear grips, wear grips. Okay, so competition prep. A big part of competition preparation is getting your body ready. So you've obviously been training hard, but what do I do? I get this question all the time. What do I do? Taper leading up to a competition. How much is too much? How hard should I be training? So there's this fine balance. Your body needs to be rested, so you're excited and you've got this hunger to compete. But obviously, if you don't do anything, you'll be a little lethargic and you could lose some of your fitness. So there's this fine line somewhere in between. I'm going to give you a really quick rundown of what that looks like. This is the abbreviated version. I talk more about this on the Professor Project Premium. But basically, with a taper, you've got your normal training. Let's say you compete on a Saturday, Sunday. So Monday, Tuesday, train as you normally would. Don't change anything. Monday, Tuesday, go hard, lift heavy. But you do want to kind of avoid three things on Monday and Tuesday, okay? Number one, you don't want to lift super heavy. You shouldn't be maxing out any of your lifts, so you shouldn't go for a 1 or a 3 rep max, back squat or deadlift or clean and jerk. You can still go heavy, but you shouldn't be maxing out. It's going to tax your central nervous system. Nor should you be doing like a lot of heavy reps. So, for me, maybe that's heavy deadlifts for like 30 reps at, over 400 pounds or 300 pounds. It's too many. So nothing super heavy. Second, nothing really, really high rep that's going to get you sore. So you don't need to do a bunch of wall balls or a lot of thrusters or a lot of burpees or chest to bars. You don't need to get DOMS, which is delayed onset muscle soreness. So you can still do all those movements, but don't do them in big unbroken sets. That's usually what makes you sore. And the other thing is you don't need to go super long. You don't need to be doing 45-minute long workouts with, big runs and getting sweaty and just depleting your energy store. So don't go super long, don't go super heavy, don't do super high reps, but still Monday, Tuesday, go hard. Wednesday, same thing, except just do half the volume. So still high intensity, but half the volume that you usually do on a training day. So you should leave the gym feeling like, I probably could have done more today, but okay, I'm done. Thursday, get into the gym, do a full warm up, and then stretch and leave. Or do the full warm up and then just touch on a few skills. I might go into the gym, and if I know on Saturday, Sunday, I've got some muscle ups, I might do 1 or 2 muscle ups. I might do a couple chest to bars. I might do a couple burpees, and then I'll leave. Just a couple skill, maybe some really lightweight empty barbell technique work. Friday, do nothing. Saturday, Sunday, hit it hard. So that was a taper. Hopefully you got all that. So now we're sort of getting into when you're doing your competition for each event. So for each workout, I want you to have a warm up and a cool down. Okay. So when you go, usually in your normal training, if you're training in a group class or even, you're training by yourself with a personalized program, I'll have a warm up and I'll have a cool down written as part of my training. A lot of times in competition, I see people avoid that. Why? That's super important. There's a reason you're doing that. It's preventing injury. It's properly getting your body ready for stress. Not only are you raising your body temperature, which is important, but you're also, getting the movement patterns in. So when you're out there, it's not something new and you're not, your body and your mind isn't surprised by it. So create a warm up and a cool down for every single workout at your competition and follow them to the T. Have this written down for every, and now this is going to be part of the, at the end, I'm going to release this, but, so the event strategy notes, you should have notes for every single workout on exactly technically what you want to do in each movement. Am I going to go touch and go? How fast am I going to move these? Am I going to step up my burpees? And am I going to jump up my burpees? And then I also like to have things as far as like pacing strategies. So depending on the workout, I might want to know where the clock is in the competition floor, and I'll look at that clock occasionally. And I'm like, hey, at the end of every round, I want to do a round every 2 minutes. So 20-minute workout, 10 rounds, 2 minutes a round. That's my goal. So I need to look at that clock. I'll write that down. And then also just have sort of motivational things, especially if I've had the opportunity to practice that workout beforehand. I'll want to have something like, hey, I know in that third round it gets hard, but you got to push through. And so write that down. And if you write it down, if you read it, if you say it out loud and you do that a few times leading into the competition, you're going to remember it. So in that third round, you're going to say to yourself, come on, keep going, buddy. You got this. It's hard now, but you can push through. Remember in training, you pushed through this and it was worth it. Push through this hard part. Also, I'm going to write down for every event, for every competition, what clothing I'm going to wear. Again, you only have 10 good decisions a day. Don't waste it. An hour before an event, am I going to wear these socks or those socks? Have it all written down. I'm going to wear the white long socks. I'm going to wear those shorts because those are the, they're easy on cleans. Like they don't, I don't brush my thighs on them when I do cleans. And I like that t-shirt because again, I'm doing thrusters, so I don't want to scrape up my collarbone. Right. So you have this stuff figured out. If you're taping your fingers, what grips you're wearing. You have that written out for every workout. So you don't leave it up to chance. It's up to you and you're executing. So write all that down. So I start to do this as soon as a workout is announced. I usually whip out, the paper. I'll start writing down some notes and then I'll put it on paper. I'll write it down physically. Helps me remember it as soon as the workout's announced. And then I read it multiple times and I start visualizing myself doing these things, visualizing myself doing the transitions. So when I'm out there, the plan is just so ingrained, I'm not having to remember it. And then I get to adapt on the fly if I need to. But I'm so ready for that plan that I don't need to, think, what was the plan again? Was I going to do singles or was I going to do touch and go? I don't know. No, I know. I know what the plan is, right? On that same thing, I was talking about visualization, and I'm not going to get too into this. I talk a little more about this on the Professor Project, but with visualization, a super, super important thing that I love to do that I think can really sometimes set you apart from your competition is knowing your venue. So the next time you go to a competition, if you haven't been to the venue before, ask people who have, or find photos, or do anything. Start emailing people, start finding someone who's been to that venue for another competition on Instagram that they tagged in the story, and direct message them on Instagram. Hey, I saw you go to that comp. What was it like? So things you want to know about the venue is how far is it from where you're staying? How good is parking? Are there any quiet spots where you can chill out between events where it's not super loud? And if not, do I need to create that? Do I need to bring a tent? Maybe I need to bring my car so I can just kind of like have a little nap in my car and get away from the noise of the gym. Is there food nearby? Do I need to have a place to go get food if I'm not packing my own? I don't want to drive 20 minutes to a Whole Foods to pick up a snack and drive back. What's the closest place? Is there shade? Is it super hot? Is it super dry? Sometimes indoor stadiums can be crazy dry. Sometimes stadiums can be super humid. You want to know that and just at least be somewhat mentally prepared for that. Maybe you need to bring a towel just to wipe yourself down in the warm-up area because you're sweating so much. That's super important. Same thing with sort of the venue and the competition. Are you allowed to have a coach backstage? And if so, bring one and then tell that coach what that coach's responsibilities are. Tell them, hey, you're going to tell me to do this warm-up. You're going to keep me honest. Hey, you're going to hold my water bottle. You're going to mix my shaker cup when I'm done my next workout. With the other competition, I love to know, you want to go there early. You want to see where the start line is. You want to see where the finish line is. You want to know how long they're taking from the time they marshal you to the time you start your heat. So if that's 3 minutes or that's 30 minutes, know that in your warm-up that you might be cold when you start the workout. That might change how you approach the workout, right? So that sort of stuff starts to change. Know where the clock is on the competition floor. If you're looking for it for pacing, you should know where that is so you can start visualizing yourself finishing a round. Do I look here and then turn, or do I turn around and look as I run back to the rig? You want to know all that. And then you want to watch the heats before you. You want to watch all the heats that compete in the same workouts as you before you. And just see how they're moving along the floor. Where are they moving? Where are their trouble spots? Maybe there's a bump in the floor you want to avoid when you're running or when you're doing handstand walks, all that sort of stuff. All right. Another thing, we're jumping along here quick, leaderboarding. So are you going to look at the leaderboard during your competition? Why and how often? In my personal opinion, I'm going to tell you what I do, and I think it works for most people. I go into a competition just there to do my best, right? I'm there to do my best, to put my best on the floor every workout. However, near the end of the weekend, so let's say it's usually the last 2 workouts. So say it's 6 workouts, say it's 12 workouts. It's usually the last 2 or 3 workouts. I'll get my coach to look at the leaderboard and I'll ask him, is there anything I should be aware of? And usually what that means is I go into a competition, I want to win, right? But at a certain point, maybe you have 2 workouts left and coach says, you know what? You're close to the podium. If you really push in these last 2, you might get a bronze medal. I'm like, okay, cool. I can't get gold or silver anymore. He's like, not really. Okay, let's push for bronze. So all of a sudden, things change. I would have liked to have won. I'm not going to win, but I can get bronze. So what do we need to do to get bronze? Maybe I need to risk something. Maybe I need to go a little faster than I'd like to and say, hey, it's worth a shot. Or maybe you're sitting comfortable in first. You're like, hey man, you're in first by like a lot. So let's not do anything too crazy. Maybe instead of going touch and go, we do some quick singles just to be safe. And then we push at the end. I don't want you to start too hot, blow up and lose that first place. So it's really important near the end of the weekend, potentially, to look at the leaderboard and understand that. But don't let that leaderboard distract you too much at the beginning of the weekend. If you've got a lot of workouts, it can change so much. So getting super wrapped up in how many points you are behind or ahead after one workout, just worry about performance first. And then it's the last few workouts where you want to focus on that a little bit. So with a coach, another thing to keep in mind is depending on the workout, you might want that coach to help you figure out what other heats have done and what has worked positively. So if you're back there warming up and all these other heats are going, you might want someone, a coach or someone else helping to go watch in the stands and either text you or text your coach or somehow relay the information to you and say, hey, they're really strict about this out there. You got to make sure you're getting below parallel on those squats. Or, everyone's slipping on the ropes. They seem to be super slippery. Make sure you bring chalk. Or they're running out of chalk out there. Grab some from the warm-up area. Or we can get more specific here, but in some situations, you might want someone communicating with you while you're on the floor. If there's a lot of you out there doing, let's say, a 1-rep max, you could try, this doesn't always work, but you could try to have someone communicating with you from the audience. The audience might be watching everyone else lift and relaying information to you on how much people are lifting so you can try and beat them. Difficult to do, but if you're like, hey, those 3 guys over there and me, we all have the same personal best. So let me know what they lift so I can try and beat them. It's hard to do that by yourself while you're still trying to lift and load your own plates. So keep that in mind. The end of tip 1, which is competition prep. The end of tip 1 is that's all the pre-competition stuff. Now the post-competition stuff, how do you properly debrief after a competition? So the first thing is make sure for a day or 2, just don't do much exercise. You can exercise, maybe go for a walk, go for a hike, go for a jog, go for a swim, but don't go into a CrossFit gym and start throwing weights around. Don't go in there, start doing chest to bars. Give yourself a break, not only for your body, but for your mind, and allow yourself to decompress and, soak in what you've learned and take that extra time instead of training to do what I'm about to tell you and debrief on the entire thing. So I really think about 2 things when I'm debriefing. Number 1, I ask myself, if I could go back in time to the beginning of this weekend or the beginning of that workout, what would I change? So this is what most people look at. And this is still super valuable. This is what you do in the open, right? You do the workout for the first time on Friday. You make a bunch of mistakes. And you say, okay, I'm going to do it again on Monday. This is what I'm going to change. I'm going to start a little slower. I'm going to keep the barbell closer to the wall. I'm going to, do sets of 10 instead of sets of 15, whatever, right? You're going to change all that stuff. So that's the first thing. And what happens, the reason you do that, if you just finished a competition, you obviously can't go back in time. But if you do that reflection often enough, what's going to happen is you're going to start to develop trends. And you're going to say, when I've reflected on these workouts post-workout, I realized that I have frequently went out too fast, or I often make the mistake of rowing too fast, or my transitions get really slow later in workouts. And then the next time you make a strategy and you say, hey, I need to make my transitions fast at the end of this workout, right? So you're learning from your mistakes. The second thing, and this is the really powerful one, you finish a competition and you ask yourself, if I had this same competition in, let's say, usually 3 months, I usually give the example of 3 months. If I had this exact same competition in 3 months, what do I need to do in my life and in my training to do better? And you can get general and specific. So general could just be, I need to be in better shape, right? I'm just kind of out of shape. I lost my breath a lot. So that's just more exercise. It could be a little more specific. You might say, you know what? It's my wall balls. Struggled with wall balls. And then even more specific is why wall balls and how do I get those better? Is it my squat speed? Is it my squat speed endurance? Is it my shoulder endurance? Is it a technical issue? It might be an ankle flexibility issue. It might be a hip flexibility issue. So just because you're bad at wall balls doesn't necessarily mean you need to do 100 wall balls a day. So looking at those two things post-competition, what would I do if I could go back in time and just change some small strategy things? And that can be on the floor, but that can also be lifestyle stuff. I need to get better sleep. I need to plan my food out more. I was really, really stressed out. I was just anxious. I got mad at my judge. Like, how do I fix that? And you have to start finding answers to those questions. And that's where the magic happens. I talk to people about this, even in Dubai, post-Dubai, good athletes. I'm like, hey man, when this competition's done, like, you making a list of everything that went wrong? They're like, oh yeah, maybe I should. I'm like, yeah, you should. I do that every time, no matter how, even when I win, I make a list of everything that went wrong in every workout, everything that went wrong at the hotel. And I try to change those things next time. If the bed was too soft, I have to find a way to go to a hotel that has a firm bed. So that's secret number one, competition prep. Secret number two, it's one of my favorite ones. This is something that's taken me a long time to do. And I have all this in the Professor Project group. And this is, how do I create a pacing strategy for a workout I've never done before? So grab your pens and paper. We're going to go through this one quick because time is running out, folks. We got a lot more to cover. So a workout's announced. Maybe it's in the open. Maybe it's at your local competition. And, it's something, right? It's a bunch of CrossFit stuff. And you go, man, what am I going to do for this? Like, how am I going to strategize this? So the first question you ask yourself is, should I go fast and unbroken? So if I was to ask you, hey, 20 burpees, go. You would just go fast and unbroken. You just do them as fast as you can. But at a certain point, if you said 20 burpees, 20 calorie row for 3 rounds, you can't just go flat out. You're going to run out of gas. So first question is, should I go fast and unbroken? If the answer is yes, that's your strategy. If the answer is no, okay, should I go unbroken and smooth? Right? So 20 calorie row, 20 burpees, 3 rounds. Yeah, you can do that unbroken. Like, don't stop on the row, get off, do your burpees, smooth and steady. So now you need to define, obviously, what smoothness is. We're going to get into that in a little bit. Now, if it was 20 calorie row, 20 burpees, 20 chest bars for 3 rounds, can I go unbroken and smooth? Okay, no, I can't. Well, why can't you? And the answer to this would be, well, if I tried to go unbroken, what would happen? I would fail my chest bars. Okay. So now we've got from fast and unbroken to smooth and unbroken to what's going to fail and why. And then write down any recent experiences you've had to confirm this prediction. So if it was chest to bars, what are some recent workouts you've done with about 60 chest to bars? How did you break that up? Did you do sets of 5? Did they break down to 3s, singles? And make a plan to break up those movements that are going to give you trouble from the beginning, and then do everything else unbroken and smooth. So that's kind of the step-by-step process. Is you're identifying the weakest link. You're identifying the places that are going to give you trouble. You're going to find recent workouts where you can remember what you did in those and what worked, or what you would have done differently in those recent workouts and what would have worked, and then apply that to this new workout. So often you'll have a workout, you'll have, let's say it's at 20, 20, and 23 rounds. And you're going to say, well, how long is that going to take me? Let's say there's no time cap and you're trying to figure out, well, how long is that going to take? The best way to do that I've found is you clump all the movements together. So you say, okay, how long does 60 calorie row take? 60 burpees, 60 chest bars. And this is something I'm actually working on more of, but basically, hopefully you have a bit of an idea, again, from experience, about how long 60 calorie row is going to take, about how long it takes you to do 60 burpees and 60 chest bars. So you add all those together instead of doing it piece by piece. Usually if you do each piece separately, you'll know about how long it's going to take. This is a really fun one. And then the other part to pacing this is the part I really enjoy, is if you have a movement within a workout that is a monostructural movement, swimming, rowing, assault bike, ski erg, bike erg, but basically, let's say rowing and running are the two easiest ones. So let's say it's a workout where you get on the machine or you go for a run and then you come in and you do a bunch of CrossFit and then you go back and do that for a few rounds. So the question is, well, how fast should I be running or how fast should I be rowing? If you know the total duration of that workout, ask yourself, how fast would I row if it was a 20-minute workout? Just rowing, 20-minute AMRAP. Approximately how fast am I going to row for 20 minutes straight? So that's sort of the starting point. And the same with running. So let's say it's, 20-minute workout and there's some running in there. Usually you want to run at a pace that you would run at for 20 minutes on its own. So, let's say that's your 5K pace, right? So you're running at about a 5K pace during that workout. But the exception to that, there's two exceptions. One, if the other movements are very challenging and really challenge your heart rate, then you want to run a little slower because the run will be the recovery. So something like a really heavy lift or a lot of ring muscle ups. Those are two really good examples. If it's something right down the middle, like something like, maybe burpees or some really light dumbbell snatches, then you're going to want to find a way to run at that 20-minute pace. Or the other exception is you actually might want to run faster than that pace if the other movements you would consider rest. So let's say you're someone who's really, really good at wall balls. Let's say a male, you're like, hey, I'm really good with 20-pound wall balls to a 10-foot target. And you go to a competition and it's a 10-pound wall ball to a 9-foot target, right? You're going to go, well, that's easy. For me, that's actually rest. So I need to push the run more than if it was just running. So that's how you decide your pace for a monostructural movement within a workout that has multiple movements. Next part of pacing strategy for a workout you've never done before is decide on your transitions. What are you going to do in your transitions? Are you going to grab chalk? Are you going to grab water? Are you going to have carbs? Are those transitions going to be really, really fast and deliberate? Are they going to be a little bit slower? Is that where you're going to catch your break after maybe doing a long, unbroken set? And do you need to move your equipment deliberately? So for example, with your double unders, you finish your double unders. Are you going to gently set down the rope? Or are you going to throw it to the side? With a barbell, are you going to help lower it to the ground before you go to the bar? Or are you just going to ghost rep it, go to the bar and deal with it when you come back? You should be thinking about all those things in an open, obviously the CrossFit Open, but also in a live competition. Sometimes they require you to roll things forward and move things around. So you should have those transitions written down and start visualizing them before you compete. And then the second thing, this is the final part of making a pacing strategy for a workout you've never done before. The final part is, do you have a plan B? So do you have a plan B for a workout if things start going wrong? And what is that plan B? Now, depending on the workout, this could look a lot of different ways. Usually what I try to tell people is if you're good enough at making a strategy, you should stick to that strategy for the first 60% of the workout. If it's like, let's say it's a 10-minute workout. So for the first 6 minutes, hopefully you can stick to the exact strategy you made. And then at the 6-minute mark, the 60% mark, then you can start making decisions based off a variety of factors, really two factors. One, how do you feel? If you feel really good, let's pick up the pace. If you don't feel so great, start slowing down so you don't die. The other thing that might help is actually at that point is when you can start looking at your competitors. So really for the first half, just past half of a workout, I wouldn't worry about where the competitors are because some of them might be fitter than you, some of them might be less fit than you. And not only that, but some of them might be a lot stupider than you. So maybe there's a bunch of them that are approximately the same level of fitness and they're going out really fast. Now, don't chase them because you need to hold your strategy and maybe they're about to die off. But at that 60% mark, if you look around, you know where everyone is and you can see their sort of like levels of fatigue, then you can start to say, okay, right now I'm sitting in about 5th place, but it looks like the guy in 4th and 3rd, they look like they're struggling. They're just ahead of me. The plan right now, get these guys, right? That might be the plan. Or, hey, you know what? I'm in 5th. I'm super tired. Those guys in front of me, they look like they're doing just fine. I'm just going to try and hold off 6th place. If I can hold off 6th place or even 7th place, like that's enough. Especially if you're doing like a long run, that's when you start to, let's say you do a 1 kilometer run, a couple burpees, 1 kilometer run, something like that. On that last run, start to decide, do I want to push and try and catch someone? Or am I just going to hold my ground? So that's sort of like a plan B. And then if you're just doing it in your own setting and there's no other competitors, it really comes down to how am I feeling relative to my pacing strategy, right? Is my pacing strategy still proper? Did I make a good strategy? Do I start deviating from it? It could be something like, sometimes my muscle ups feel great and sometimes they don't feel great. And so when you make the strategy, you got to know at what point, what's the sign that my muscle ups are doing good or bad? And if they feel good, where do I go? And if they feel bad, which direction do I go? You need to have those things figured out. Let's see. So once you've sort of figured out those pacing strategies, you can add it to the sheet. And obviously that sheet I'm going to be giving to you guys at the end of this webinar, like I mentioned. Secret number three is mindset management. And so I'm just going to help you. This is going to be just sort of helping guide you on some things that have really worked well for me, things that have worked well for people in the Professor Project that I've helped them with, and also just some local people that I've been helping with their mindset. And just these sort of attitudes, I think, can just be really beneficial day to day, but definitely in competing. So the first step when working on your mindset, mental toughness, as people might call it, is evaluating, right? And this is evaluating where you're at right now. I talk often about a lens, and so we all see the world through a lens. So I'm seeing this room right now, and I'm seeing a barbell, and I'm, having conversations with people, but there's a lens, like imagine, a red lens or a blue lens. And that lens is sort of there from years and years of me experiencing things, right? So, we might all see the same thing happen, but we're going to interpret it different ways, right? If someone comes to us and, it seems really stressed and really upset, starts asking us questions, some of us might be really caring and really understanding. Some of us might get a little nervous. All these different things. And this is just going to come from our perspective. And so when it comes to CrossFit, when it comes to fitness and your lens, you need to start asking yourself, when I go to training, when I go to competitions, when I'm in the middle of competition, how do I deal with problems? How do I deal with, maybe stress? How do I deal with, being in last place? How do I deal with being in first place? How would I deal with if I'm in the middle of the pack? How have I dealt with losing a workout at the gym, winning a workout at the gym, getting to the gym late, getting to the gym early? How do I deal with these things, and why do I deal with them that way? It's a really important place to start, because maybe you don't need a lot of things to work on, or maybe you need a lot of things to work on. And that's kind of up for you to understand. First step is evaluation. The next is sort of understanding your goals, your mission statement. And I talk about this on the Professor Project quite a bit. I'm really big into not big into goal setting. I'm big into commitment setting. I'm big into mission statements. And mind you, the grander those are, the more dedication you need. But, I don't love the goal. I want to, win the CrossFit Games. Great. What does that mean, right? I want to win an NBA championship too. But what am I doing to make that happen? I'm not doing anything to make that happen. I'd love to win that. That's a goal. I can say that. It's a dream of mine to win an NBA championship, but nobody really cares. And that's not going to happen. So my mission statement, I've got some of these are a little more private, but essentially it's, I want to be as good as I can possibly be at competing in fitness. I want to be as good as I can at CrossFit. Now, my list of commitments, what am I willing to do every day? How early am I willing to go to bed? When am I willing to shut off the TV and have no screen time, so I have a better sleep, so I recover better, so I train better every single day, 365 days of the year? That's what's setting me apart. Our goals do not set you apart. Your commitment is what sets you apart. What you do day in and day out, your systems, your strategies, stuff like this is what sets you apart, not your goals. And obviously the loftier, the higher you want to achieve that mission statement, for me, if it's, want to be the best CrossFitter I can be, the higher I want to climb up that ladder of CrossFitters, the more the dedication has to be. And you really need to understand that. If you in passing say, yeah, I want to be an astronaut. It's like, well, there's a lot of people that want to be an astronaut. What are you going to do to put yourself ahead of those people? What are you willing to do every single day to do that? And I think a really big thing I've written down here is quit comparing yourself, right? Quit comparing yourself to other people. Comparison is the thief of joy. Figure out what is standing in your way right now, something you can control that's standing in your way of where you want to be, and work on that until it's out of your way. So for me, if it's something like handstand push-ups, how do you know you're getting better at handstand push-ups, Brent? Well, My coach and I know it's a weakness. I work on it 3 times a week. I do lots of overhead pressing. I do lots of upper back strengthening so I don't get injured. And I know if I keep doing that every single week, in 3 months, I'll be a little bit better. I'll come out of the cave. Maybe I'll compare myself to other athletes at a competition. Then I go back to the cave and I start working on it again. That's how I know. When it comes to mindset, I'm going to talk about one more little thing here. In Professor Project, I think one of the best ways to learn something is through story times, telling stories. So we have this section called story time where I tell a bunch of stories from myself, people I know, and how they relate to mindset. And this one is called, it's just about winning, really. And I was really lucky. I didn't realize it until I was older, but when I was in high school, I was part of a winning team. So I jumped into this volleyball team in grade 11. And by that point, the coach had taught everyone in grade 12 how to be a winner. And when it just became natural that when I stepped onto the court and when this team stepped onto the court, we sort of just expected to win. We worked really, really hard. We worked very hard, and we weren't focused on winning, but we became very used to it. And other teams became used to losing to us, and games would get close and we were calm because we're like, oh, we've been in close games before and usually we win. And then sure enough, we would win. And other teams would be like, oh man, we're in this close game. I don't know what's going to happen. And, they'd freak out and they'd make mistakes and we would win. And we always believed that success was possible. And we believed it because it happened so often. And we visualized ourselves succeeding. We visualized ourselves playing really well. And then when I went to a different team a couple years later, at the end of a game, this one guy said to me and this friend of mine who were on the same team in high school, he said, man, I thought we lost that one for sure. We were down by those couple points. My friend and I looked at each other and we're like, really? He's like, yeah, I thought we were going to lose. We were down, they were playing really well. I'm like, oh, I never doubted we were going to lose. I never doubted we were going to win. I knew we were going to win. And my friend's like, yeah, we're a better team. Really? Yeah. And we did win. And I realized if there were 6 of that guy on the team, we would have lost. But because there were enough, because I was on that team and my best friend was on that team, and we had this mentality of we're just going to keep playing. It's close, but we're probably going to win. And we did. And I realized wow, how powerful was that we had this mindset and we believed that we should keep fighting and keep playing our best because it might be enough to win. And it was worth that, as opposed to, man, let's just roll over and take this loss. And that sort of rolls into, and if you haven't been part of a winning team, you haven't been part of continually winning, I think what's important is not faking yourself into believing that, but just knowing that if you put in the work, that there's no reason you can't win. There's no reason you can't experience big success, and big success bigger than you thought was possible in a year from now and 5 years from now. And in 5 years from now and a year from now, you can look back on something like today and say, wow, that person, this day, right now, watching day, but it can happen. And you have to believe that with that effort, winning can happen. It might not happen right away, but you have to believe that it's possible. And one more thing about mental toughness, about mindset, is this is probably the biggest thing is, well, what do I do for meditation? What's your mindset hack? What's this and that? And the biggest thing I usually say is there's no such thing as such situational mental toughness. You could not be situationally mentally tough. So you can't all of a sudden step onto, I'll use basketball as an example. You can't step onto the basketball court and be Zen, right? You're not going to go on the basketball court and be the Zen master and be super in the zone and this mentally tough when things go bad if you don't deal with traffic well. When you're in traffic, you start yelling. When you're in the class and you get a bad grade, you freak out. When someone else does better than you at work and gets the promotion, you get angry, right? So all these things, if you are not mentally tough every single day, if you don't plan things every single day, and if you don't treat problems in your day-to-day life with maturity, with grace, with poise, then when you come onto the competition floor, it's not going to happen. So the best opportunity you actually have in your entire life, and this is an amazing way to frame every obstacle that comes your way, really, is when you're in a traffic jam next, think, hey, I'm training for my next competition right now, right? This is no different than, I'm in the warm-up area, I'm ready to go, and they delayed the heats by 10 minutes. Or, I get in an argument with someone, I'm like, hey, this is me training for the next time I get a bad call on a competition floor. Am I going to deal with it like a baby, kick and scream and complain, or am I going to deal with it very maturely, very quickly, methodically, and get back to work? So the best way to train mental toughness is to do it day in, day out. How you do everything is how you do anything is how you do everything. Super, super important. So I'm going to kind of ask you a bit of a rhetorical question here. Have you ever felt unprepared for a workout or a competition? Iceberg when it comes to preparation, pacing strategies, movement efficiencies. We've got 1,000+ members on the Professor Project right now. They've had access to stuff like this, the stuff I'm talking about right now, but even deeper dives into this stuff. And they're crushing it at their local comps. We've got people from 40 different countries on the team with a premium membership. There's I think there's 60 videos on movements. I think we got a list here. There's 11 videos on pacing. There's about more than six videos coming on nutrition videos. There's like a dozen worksheets and templates on things I've done for myself and I'm giving, to the Professor Project members. All this different stuff, and bundles as well from myself and from other coaches that have been on the program Professor Project team, giving this information. It's really a private community to interact with me, and not only me, but the coaching staff, which we've had Cole Sager come on and do videos. We've had Patrick Vellner, we've had Chandler Smith, and then local people that are kind of a secret to me, but I'm trying to push out there that are so knowledgeable. We've got a local power lifter that's just completely changed my outlook on how to do strongman stuff, on how to deadlift, on how to back squat, how to bench press. And Ben Stevens, someone who's really helped keep me injury free all these years, taught me how to use kettlebells properly, taught me how to keep my shoulders healthy, and taught me how to move better, really. So all those people are there on the Facebook group, accessing me, asking me questions daily, and then obviously giving their input in videos like these that you can watch, that are there forever, that you can watch and learn a lot from. So if you join premium, think about that. If you joined a group like the Professor Project, and I'm selling you guys on this because I really, really believe it, and it could help you physically and mentally, recover and prepare for your next workout, your next competition. I really feel like it's worth it. It's something I'm really proud of that is continuing to grow. And with it, what's really nice is, I do believe in it a lot, and there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if, you're not getting from it what you want, you can always just shoot us an email and we'll refund you, no problem. So it's almost question and answer time. Ooh, we're right on time here too. That's good. Talking nonstop. It's like a workout. It's almost question and answer time with the Professor Project. So yeah, it's almost question and answer time. I'm going to get through a bunch of these questions. I've got a bunch of other questions I want to answer. We're going to go through those for quite a while after this. I want to get through all of them. I really appreciate you guys staying this long. And I really appreciate you guys, committing yourself to this for this amount of time. It's been a lot of fun on, oh geez, I'm losing my train of thought here. Really appreciate everyone, staying here, learning from me today, having your goals and wanting to crush your next competition. If you are interested in the Professor Project, the annual membership for a year subscription to videos like these, content from me, hundreds of videos now on the site, and then live question and answers that happen every month with either me or another one of the coaches. We've had Pat on there, we've had Chandler Smith on there doing live question and answers, answering your questions. And then obviously constantly I'm on the Facebook page like 3-4 times a week. The annual membership right now for only the next 24 hours, we're doing for $147. You get your own custom Professor Project t-shirt with your name on the back. You can put your name, you can put my name on the back if you really want to. It's usually $177 or $20 a month, but we're giving a discount just for the next 24 hours. So it's only $147 a month. Thanks for coming so much today. Really, really appreciate it. I'm going to start taking some questions for a bit. Then I'll give away that list. After the questions are done, I'm going to get that list for you, the competition preparation list. And I think we're going to email it as well for those of you that did come today. So if you lose it in the thing here, we'll remind you about this sale and we'll give you that list as well. Let's get through some questions. I'm going to get through to I've got a bunch of questions here. Shabba-dabba-da. Let's do it. All right. I got some questions here. All right. So if you have any questions, I'm going to try and answer them. I'll answer them here. Okay. Let me pull up. I haven't been looking at the live chat here. Okay. Oh, thanks. He said it's been worth every minute. Ooh, you got the flu and you're going to Wadapalooza. Man, that's hard. The balance between obviously trying to recover from the flu, but also trying to train. Training stresses the body. Stress makes you sick, right? So really just try to double down on every single thing you can do to recover from the flu, right? Like lots of sleep, really good food, really good fluids, raw ginger, raw garlic, you name it, do all that. I would still train a bit. You're not going to get a lot fitter between now and Wadapalooza. It's not that far away. So, but I would still try to get into the gym, but don't overexert yourself. But you do need to exercise. It's a hard line. I'm not there. I can't tell you. But really, honestly, the biggest thing you can do is just double and triple down on every single thing you can think of that's going to get rid of the flu. That's the biggest thing. And if that means training a little less, that's fine. How often do coaches interact on the Professor Project? I'm on the Facebook and the email. I would say at a minimum, I'm on there once a week, but on average, I'm on there 3 times a week, and I go through and I answer everything. I make sure that every post that has me mentioned in it, I'm on there and I answer it. So I can't speak for all the other coaches. It's a little more intermittent, but this is my baby, so I'm on there all the time. During multiple day events, how do you shut down properly at the end of the day so you can sleep well and recover for the next day? Really, it comes down to, debriefing after each workout and sort of putting it in the past, right? And then because pre-competition, like the days and weeks prior, I've done so much to prepare, that night, I don't feel like I'm like running around trying to get things ready for the next day. I know what I need. I know everything's packed. I know where it is. Everything's clean. I've got everything I need. And so my mind is quite at ease. Another big thing is I really try to stay away from electronics as much as possible during competition. I'm not like, fluttering on Instagram, messaging people. And then just, the hour before bed, stay away from the electronics, try to wind down, try to think of something else, read a book, and then just mentally tell yourself or scribble down what happened that day. That's why I do those recaps. Why I share them is because it helps me just like digest the day and put it in the past, flush it down the toilet, so to speak, if it's not a good one, and move on. And that really helps me. Kyle McSherry, coaches interact all the time. Thank you. What are my 1 rep max events warm-ups looks like? It depends on the 1 rep max. That's the best thing to ask is, ask your coach, but obviously just a general, warm up, let's say it's a snatch, right? Clean and jerk, let's say, warm up the shoulders, warm up the squat, do a couple with an empty bar, 3 lifts with 95, 2 lifts with 135 pounds. Then after that, I'm just doing 1 lift progressively until I basically build up to just before my opener. So let's say I'm going to open at 315. That's an easy number. I'll probably hit 305 in the back, and I'll hit 305 pounds right before they call me for marshalling. So the time between 305 and the time we walk around, get ready, okay, Brent, and then you go out there at 315 is the shortest window as possible. So I'm still ready, and I'm taking like 10, 15 pound jumps. Oh, from Greece. Well, thank you for watching. If you've been away from CrossFit, how do I get back into it? Just get back into it. The first month or the first couple workouts are going to suck. They're going to hurt. You're going to be really sore. There's nothing you can do about that. Just get in the gym, right? Just get in the gym. Go to a gym. Usually the best is the community. So get into a gym with people, start crushing workouts, start having fun again. Just enjoy it. Look after your body, stretch, and then after a month or two, then you'll be there, right? And you'll be glad you started today instead of started 2 months from now. Just get back into it. What do I do in between workouts as far as recovery? Biggest thing for recovery is as soon as you are done a workout in a competition, immediately cool down. Get on a salt bike, get on a rower. You maybe go for like a light jog. Do some like shoulder accessories with bands, do some light push-ups. You got to kind of keep the blood moving and pump out that lactic acid, especially if it was something that was really brutal and you're like really pumped up. You got to cool down. If you just immediately sit down, all that blood's going to pool, the lactic acid, the nastiness, it's not going to flush away. You have to cool down. That's the biggest thing. And usually the easiest one is just going on a salt bike for 3 minutes, rower for 3 minutes, salt bike for 3 minutes, do some light stretching, kind of do some lunges, do some push-ups. You need to work to get the lactic acid out, but not work so hard you create more. So find that sweet spot where you can kind of just have a conversation, but you're moving around. That's the biggest one. And then depending on that has to happen. And then other than that, cool down. Depends how much time you have. I might have a little nap. I might just go and chat with some people. I usually try and get out of the competition. It's just so loud in there, it drains you. So that's pretty much what I do. Hello from Brazil. Oh, jeez. This thing keeps moving on me. Should you change your diet when prepping for a competition? Like I said, nothing new on race day. So, I don't want you to change something a week or two before you start competing, right? If you've been eating a certain way for a year, you got to keep eating that way, even if it's not healthy or whatever. You got to keep eating that way because that's what you're used to. As far as should I start eating a different way leading into a competition? No, I mean, you should eat. I want you to eat healthy all the time, right? I want you to eat healthy, to perform, to be vital, to be a quality human all year round. And then leading into a competition, it's pretty much the same. Usually leading into a competition, you'll dial down the fats a little bit. You'll crank up the carbs, make sure you're hydrated. That's about it. There's nothing else to really do. Best tips for someone wanting to pursue coaching for competitors. Most valuable thing you've gained from a coach in your competing career so far. If you want to coach people, just start coaching people, right? Just find someone who wants help and help them. And then along the way, start charging for your services, of course, because you need to make money out of it. And then, just add value to athletes and understand that you have to coach the athlete, right? Different people need different things, not only from a programming standpoint, but mentally, right? Some people need to be fired up. Some people need to be calmed down. Some people don't like a lot of strategy. Some people love every strategy handled. I think more people need to handle every strategy, every little detail of their competition. So I think the biggest thing you can know as a coach is that not all athletes are the same, and try to learn. It's almost the same as like if you're trying to become a very good manager of people at a job, you should read a lot about personality types and how to motivate different types of people. And I think the same is true for coaching. If you're coaching athletes, you need to know how certain personality types, how certain types of people react differently to certain stimuluses, and understand that. So that would be a big piece of advice. Any advice for older athletes? Try not to get injured. It takes so much longer for older athletes to recover from injury. Your progress will be slower than a younger athlete as far as how fast you're going to get better at your deadlift or something like that. But really, really put more time in than the young guns. Put more time into your recovery and your flexibility and your stretching, because that's going to go a long way. It's going to help you from getting injured. Just try not to get injured. If you're not sure if something looks safe, I don't know if that'll hurt my back, don't do it. Always play on the side of safety. And I think that's true for most people, but it's especially true for masters athletes. Someone's asking, I've been doing CrossFit for a year now. I want to get really good. I want to go to the games. There's so much work ahead. Where would you say to start? Well, I'm glad you came here. I think I'm a good place to start. I think the Professor Project is a great place to start. I think just setting realistic a set of commitments, in your life. If you really want CrossFit to become a huge part of your life and you want to excel in the sport, then pretty much your entire life needs to revolve around it. And if as much of it as possible. So, everything from what you eat to when you wake up. Let me tell you a story. Obviously right now things are a little different because I'm a professional athlete, but there was a time when I had a full-time job. I would wake up and I would immediately bike to the gym, and I would train at the gym for 2.5 hours. I'd bring a snack with me that I pre-packed the night before. As soon as I was done that, I would shower and I would bike to my work. I would work. I would bring all these meals with me that I packed the night before. I would finish work and I would bike home. And then when I got home, I would unpack, I would stretch, and I would pack meals for the next day, and I would go to bed early so I could get a big sleep, and I'd do it again. And that was essentially my life. On the weekend, I would train more because I had more time. And I would train Friday night because I had more time, because I didn't have to get us up early on Saturday because I didn't have to work. And that was essentially my life for a really, really long time. So if you're willing to do that, and if your life can accommodate that, and you don't have a pet and you don't have all these other things dragging you down, you just have a job where it makes enough money for you to train, and then you train hard and you eat well and you cook all your own meals, because cooking your own meals is cheaper than buying them, then you'll probably be okay. Let's see. How much time do I spend on mobility and day-to-day training and build up to comps? As much as you can. There's no specific number. Try to set a commitment for 20 minutes a day. And then once you do that, then try to bump up to 25, then try to bump up to 30. Just commitment every single day. I do a little more leading up to a comp, so I feel really sweet, but as much as you can. Faster at swimming. Does technique matter more, or just time in the water? Both, right? But definitely technique. If you're doing things wrong, doesn't matter how long you're splashing around, you're still going to suck. So find someone to help you with technique. What should I eat before a comp? Nothing new on race day. So I just mentioned that before, but eat what you always eat and just eat a healthy version of what you always eat. A little more carbs than usual and a little less fat than usual. I'm 48 years old, trying to train twice a day, either WOD and weightlifting or swimming. Any advice? I mean, yeah, find a coach and just track how things are going. You can train, anyone can train twice a day. Obviously, the intensity and volume of those training sessions can vary depending on the person, depending on the need. But yeah, I mean, just find what holds you back from your goals, and maybe that's strength, maybe that's swimming, whatever that is. And then make sure that's the focus of your week. That's the meat. So if it's strength, it's like, I need to make sure my squatting, my deadlifting, my cleans, that's like where the focus is and the energy is going first. And then the time and the energy later can go to other things. What's your favorite thing to eat the morning of competition? Same thing I eat every day, which is eggs and oats. So I fry some eggs with a little bit of oil and a bunch of vegetables, and then I cook oats in the microwave. How do you design a specific warm up for an event? I look at, so the shorter and more intense the event, the longer the warm up usually. So something like Murph, you don't really have to do a lot of a warm up, right? You do a little bit of stretching of, your hips and stuff for the running, and maybe your Achilles, your ankles. You run a bit, maybe you do a couple push-ups, a couple pull-ups, a couple air squats, and that's about it. Maybe you run a little more and then you go and do Murph. You don't really need to warm up for that. But for Fran, really explosive 3 minutes, go, go, go. You need to warm up more, and you need to get your heart rate up to that. So it's hard for me to say exactly, but definitely just building up to the movements at race pace is kind of the name of the game. So it's like, if I have to go out on the floor and do heavy deadlifts fast and burpees fast, I'm going to start with, what do I warm up for my deadlifts? Okay, warm up my core, warm up my hamstrings, do some light deadlifts, do some heavier deadlifts faster, and just continually kind of ramp up the intensity, shorten up the rest between the movements. So I'm almost doing like a portion of the workout at workout pace, and then I rest. How do I master a new movement such as handstand walks, handstand push-ups? Well, I have progressions and some help for that on the Professor Project. There's some videos online as well, some YouTube videos that might help. Just start practicing them and start looking at those videos. I mean, you can sign up for the Professor Project. I'll teach you on there I have video kind of progressions on where to start. But with handstand push-ups, just do more pressing, right? I mean, if you weigh 180 pounds, you need to be able to essentially press 180 pounds over your head multiple times. So grab a barbell, grab dumbbells, and start pressing over your head. And then you'll get better and better at doing that when you're upside down. You're flying into Wadapalooza. What do I recommend training before competition? I mentioned this earlier in the thing, so I'm just going to go to the next one. Carbs before or after workout? Both. Is the Professor Project designed for just top-level athletes or for any? It's designed for everyone. I'd love for you to try it. There's a 30-day, money-back guarantee if you don't love it, but it is for everyone. There's some stuff in there. I mean, everything I talk about right now can be applied to the beginner, to the elite athlete. Really, there's nothing in there that really only applies to an elite competitor, other than, I guess you could argue, I talk about ring muscle ups. So if you're not ready for those, then you're not ready for those. But, there's videos on there, just basic stuff covering stretching. There's basic stuff on the squat, how to improve your technique on all these movements. And whether you're lifting 400 pounds or 100 pounds, it all still applies. So any tips for tall CrossFitters looking to be competitive? Same tips I give a short person, which is, what holds you back from being, if you finished 10th at your last competition, what held you back from coming 9th or 5th? Look at your worst score, figure out why that was, and get started working on that thing. Obviously, with a tall CrossFitter, moving a little quicker, finding ways to move a little faster in the movements that the short guys love, like the burpees, the handstand push-ups, the pull-ups, is important. but you just generally need to be fit. I mean, there's still only so fast you can do a pull-up. But if you can do more in a row, you're probably going to beat a lot of short guys. So just get fitter and move really well and be flexible. Being flexible at being tall and then flexible is super important. If you're doing a 5-round workout, is the most optimal way to do all the rounds at the same time or have different split times? Depends on the movements. So if you've got 5 rounds of just running and burpees, then each round should be about the same. The first round and the last round might be a little faster than the middle rounds. However, if you're doing a workout that's 5 rounds that has some really maybe it's heavy deadlifts and ring muscle ups, the first round is going to be faster and they're just all going to slow down after that because it's high power output stuff and you got to get while the getting's good. You got to strike while the iron's hot. And if you can start out with a big unbroken set and then you break down to quick singles, no matter what, you're breaking down to quick singles, right? So if you just start with quick singles, you're just going to end at quick singles. But if you start with a big unbroken set on each and then you go down to quick singles, that's going to be a faster time. So it depends on the movements. Sorry, it's too specific. But most of the time, most people would get a lot of value from trying to keep every single round the same pace. If you can do that consistently in training, you're going to learn a lot more about yourself, and then you can expand on that strategy moving into a competition. How would I incorporate the Professor Project into weekly workouts at your gym? I would incorporate it by watching videos like these and taking notes. I've got a lot of videos like these. I've got a lot of videos on the Professor Project that have, it's 10, 15 minutes of me talking about how to do rope climbs. And so you can watch that on your phone when you're at the gym. Maybe you have some time after class and you can learn how to do these technical things, or you can write down some notes. And so when you get to the class and there's rope climbs, you can, properly use the rope climbs. Or videos like this. There's videos like this on mindset and pacing and strategy. And so you write down some notes. You have this sheet I'm going to give you here with, the list of how to pace a workout you've never done before. That's on the Professor Project. And maybe you print out that sheet. You bring it to class. You see the workout and you quickly scribble down your strategy. So you have something to commit to. So next time you compete, the next time you go to a competition, you're just that little more prepared and ready to actually execute a strategy as opposed to just winging it. How do you calm your nerves right before an important workout? Take a deep breath. Just remind myself why I do it. Remind to have fun. Remind myself that my best is good enough. Usually those are the things. And listen to some calming music. Actually, I don't listen to heavy metal before a workout. I'll listen to something a little more chill. What are the main things you do when you're working with a mild injury? Good question. When I have a mild injury, nice thing about CrossFit is there's so many things to work on. So if you have, let's say your wrist is a little sore, just give it time, right? You make a list of all the things you can do without using your wrist at all. And the list is going to be huge. And so focus on those things. Don't do anything that makes the wrist worse, right? Do all the things that find a physio, find a chiropractor that can help you, find a massage therapist that'll help you and give you a protocol. Follow that protocol, do exactly what they tell you, and don't do any of the things they tell you not to do. And then work on all the other things that you can't while your wrist is sore. And there's going to be so many things that you're not even going to miss it. Do me and my coaches incorporate specific strength cycles that you do during your training? It's kind of a hard, in a way, I'd say no. I mean, the strength stuff is just worked in, and yeah, I'd say no, not really, no. Supplements. Oh man, we go into supplements. That's a whole nother video. I mean, I obviously, I use Ascent protein post-workout and at nighttime. I think the nighttime stuff is great. It just helps me recover and build muscle overnight, slow releasing protein. I do have some pre-workout occasionally for some caffeine. And then supplements, what do I take? ZMAs are good. That's zinc, magnesium, vitamin D, fish oil for inflammation. Those are the big ones, right? There's others, but usually most people, if you just stick with that and maybe potentially a calcium or glucosamine supplement or a turmeric curcuminoid for inflammation would be good. What's the recommended hours to train daily for a comp like Granite Games? It depends on how much time you have. So depending on the time you have, depends on the amount of time you can put in, right? At the end of the day, you go to Granite Games, you're having 2-3 workouts a day for 3 days. So, I mean, you could just do 2 hard workouts a day, right? Do a hard workout in the morning, hard workout at night, and you're essentially prepping yourself for that competition. And so leading into a competition, that's kind of what my training starts to look like. Even the games is only 3 workouts a day for 4 days, which they're hard workouts, but it's only like one workout. It's not even a training session. It's just like a workout. So it's really just a matter of making sure that by that last day, you're not totally smoked at the Granite Games. But leading into something like Granite Games, you could, for most people, I would say, honestly, just training, like getting in a 2-hour training session, 4 days a week. And then, maybe the 2 other days you have 2 2-hour sessions or 2 1.5-hour sessions. So let's say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you train 2 hours a day. Thursday, you kind of take a break. And then Friday and Saturday, you train in the morning for 1.5 hours and the night for 1.5 hours. For most people, that would be fine. I mean, you can do more, but what did my typical day look like when I was working and I was training to be a CrossFit Games athlete? So I would work a 9-to-5 job and I would train in the morning. So I would train in the morning for 2.5 hours. So I woke up really early, like 5 or 6, went straight to the gym, had a little snack, went straight to the gym, would train there. And then I would either eat there and then go to work, or I would go home, shower, eat at home, and then go to work. And then when work was done, sometimes I'd go train again, but a lot of times that was it. And I would just prep for the next day, stretch a bunch, chill out, and get ready for the next day. And then on the weekends, on like Saturdays and Sundays, I'd often train twice. So I'd have just like 2 big training sessions. Sorry, I'm trying to read some of these here. How often do you do mobility, accessory stretching, and how do you know when to do them? Oh man, I would ask. You can't really do too much stretching or too much mobility. I would just, like I kind of said to someone else, just start with 20 minutes a day, right? Just start with 20 minutes a day. Find time to get 20 minutes and find some targeted things. I've tried using some apps, and those are super helpful. But just find some specific things you struggle with, like maybe shoulder health, maybe it's ankle health, hips, whatever, and make a little list of things you need. Find some things on YouTube and do those 20 minutes a day. What's a good watch to help keep things? I use this. I use the Whoop for HRV, resting heart rate, and it also can connect to a couple devices as far as tracking your heart rate during workouts. Or you can just use a Garmin or a Fitbit or Polar. Polar is a good chest strap heart rate monitor. What is a rest day for me? As little as possible. I might go for a walk or go for a really easy swim, just kind of flop around. Other than that, I just stretch, try and get a nap, eat lots of food, and try not to be on my computer too much. What do you mean 2 training sessions? What would one look like? A WOD or more? Depends on the person, man. I mean, usually if you're at a training session, for me, usually is like a full training session. So warm up, maybe 5 sets of 5 back squat, some light snatches, and like some moderate weight snatch EMOM, and then an actual CrossFit workout, a WOD, and then maybe some like steady state conditioning as sort of a finisher / cool down. Like that would be a training session that might take me 1 hour and 45 minutes. So that would be a typical 2-hour training session. I'm going to go through a couple more questions here from online. Let's see. When your body's at the limit, how do you keep pushing it? How do you keep your body from feeling completely drained during a 3-event, 1-day competition? I mean, if you're fit enough, then you'll be a little more prepared for that kind of volume. So more training will help, just more fitness, which doesn't necessarily mean more training, but just consistent training and being healthy. Being drained in a 3-day competition, a lot of that's going to come down to sleep and nutrition. So if you're not eating enough food and you haven't got enough sleep, you're just going to feel a lot more tired. Let's see. Before competition, let's say 1 month before, do you find more important to bring up your weaknesses or focus more on your strengths? Man, it totally depends on, it's both, right? I would say, actually, I put it this way. Let's say you had 6 months to prepare for a competition. If you had 6 months to prepare for a big competition, basically the first 3 months, almost all of your time is going to be spent on your weaknesses. And then the next 3 months, it's going to start blending so that that month before is going to look like a general program that almost anyone could be doing that just has everything in it, because you're making sure your body is primed and ready for everything, right? But you still need to obviously maybe spend a little more time on those weaknesses. Like let's say, for me, handstand push-ups. So I'm going to spend a little more time on handstand push-ups than someone that's really good at them at any day of the year. That should be true. But if you're working for 6 months, those first 3 months should be mostly weaknesses and you're hardly doing anything you're good at. And then for the next 3 months, you sort of start blending back in all the stuff you're good at. So right leading up to the competition, you're just kind of doing everything because you need to be ready for everything. Let's see. How do I manage a shoulder injury while training? Find a quality physician, like a physiotherapist, a massage therapist, something like that, and get them to give you a protocol and follow that protocol to a T. Really, that's about all you can do, is make sure you're following that protocol to a T, and just that's it. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a physiotherapist, but the nice thing about a shoulder injury is there's so much stuff you can do with your legs in this sport that it's not super necessary for you to be just hammering your shoulders over and over and over again. I mean, ideally you can do both, but if you can only do one, then just work on your legs, allow your shoulders to heal, give them some time, and then they'll be back and stronger than ever. And then look after them when they are back, right? Do all the stuff that helped you get out of the injury and keep doing it. That's the hard part. Do I actively take measures to not get ill before competition? Yeah, I just make sure I get lots of sleep. I try to, I like clean the seat that I'm sitting on in the airport. And I will kind of like amp up the amount of vitamin C, or just foods with vitamin C. I'll eat more peppers, eat more oranges, and eat more garlic and eat more ginger leading into a competition, and some probiotics as well. Usually natural ones from like kimchi and stuff. But sometimes I'll just buy some like probiotic pills just to make sure my immune system is strong. Let's see. How do I approach training days that are bad? Sometimes you're not feeling like training, and I always say get in the gym. Just get in the gym, warm up, crank the tunes. If you can, surround yourself with people and just get training. And usually once you get started, you'll enjoy it. And then if you're still not enjoying it, just try and roll through it. Maybe don't go quite as hard, but just get through it. And then if you still find yourself halfway through and you're just miserable, then quit. But usually if you get in there and you get going, you're going to enjoy it, and you're going to thank yourself for getting in there. Let's see. For me, from my personal experience, it's a bit hard to eat properly during a competition. What does your nutrition look like when you're competing? I guess if you prepare your food and you know what you like to eat, that shouldn't be an issue. I guess maybe you struggle like eating full food. Maybe some people don't like eating full food, so then you might need some more like liquid carbs, some liquid protein, like I have a protein. If you don't feel like chewing on a full piece of chicken, you might need that. Find what works, right? So start practicing that and make a fake competition leading into your competition, maybe at your gym, and try eating some different things and see what you can stomach. Let's see. That's a good one. How often do you practice released workouts for a competition? What would your pre-post competition prep look like other than yeah, so I'll answer that there. So if I know the workout leading up to a competition, pretty much as soon as it's released, I'll try to practice it. And the most important thing I can recommend if you are practicing a workout that's at a competition is try to learn exactly what that event's going to look like. Do you have to move stations? Do you have to move forward on the barbell forward? Do you have to, what are the transitions like? Do you have to run back to the rig? Is that, 100 feet? Is it 5 feet? Is it right there? All those questions. You're running in a circle, or you're running out and back to do your 400 meter, all those things so when you simulate the event in your gym, you're doing it as close to the competition as you possibly can do it. Because the last thing you need is to do a workout that, on a rubber floor when you're playing on a hardwood floor with a different size basketball. It's not really going to help. So if you know the workout, try to practice it every single detail. I could go through the details, but you need to think of everything. How high are the straps in the rings? What kind of barbell is it? How big are the plates? What kind of floor is it? How big are the transitions, the temperature, everything. Try and get everything as close as you can. Hit it once really hard. Good, smart strategy. Film it. Watch the film review. And then if you have time, maybe do it one more time. Probably 2 is enough for most people. Let's see. Let's see. How you? If you're entering your first ever competition, how do you know you're ready? You're never ready. Just go and do it. Have some fun, right? How can you make sure you're prepared as you possibly can be mentally? Just go into it with kind of low expectations. Just go into it. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to learn a lot. I'm going to write down a bunch of notes on everything that went well and everything that went wrong, and I'm just going to enjoy it. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. You don't need to go to your first competition and blow everyone away. Don't worry. No matter how bad you are, there's someone there that's going to be worse. No matter how good you are, there's probably going to be someone there that's better. And if they're not there, there's someone else out there that's better than you. So just go there and have fun. Do your best. Let's see. I think that pretty much covers it. For an 8 a.m. event start, knowing my stomach can't handle too much food, what's the best way to prep for that first event? Go to bed earlier so you can get up earlier, and just have something simple to digest, something you're used to eating. So, maybe a protein shake and some fruit, right? So that stuff goes down easy, dissolves fast, not going to sit in your stomach. You probably don't need to have a bunch of fatty eggs or a bunch of bacon, a bagel. Just have something like, maybe have, an apple or two, and a protein shake is probably a good thing to have for first workout. And wow, 4 workouts in 4 hours, 5 workouts in 4-hour window. How do I stay fresh for all those workouts that are all about 10 minutes? Just warm up well in that first workout. And then honestly, in between workouts, like kind of stay warm. Like you shouldn't, have a cool down, but don't cool down and then like completely like actually cool down your body, like cool down to flush the lactic acid. But before you know it, you're going to cool down. You're going to have to start again in like 20 minutes. So you're kind of just going to be in this perpetual state of readiness and just keep eating. And remember that in the morning and after that first workout, after the second workout, you're not eating to recover from those. You're eating to fuel for that 5th workout. The whole day is about that 5th workout and making sure your body, your mind, and your recovery is there for that 5th workout. All right, gang, pretty much covers it. I'm going to answer a few more questions, but here is the link. I'm going to post it in the old caption here. I'd love for you to go that link and get the checklist. Thanks so much for sticking around for so long. So click on that link. You get the free checklist. That's something I use all the time when I'm competing, pretty much every time. I'll have that for every single event, every single workout. Click on that and just download it, put it on your phone, use it as your checklist, print it out. And it's just a great way to kind of keep track of a lot of the things I've talked about. And and then obviously, like I kind of mentioned before, head to the Professor Project. We're going to send you an email with the link, 24 hours, you get a discount. Would love for you guys to become part of the Professor Project Premium and learn from me year round. But if not, I hope you enjoyed this webinar. I hope you learned something, tell your friends. Hopefully they help. Hopefully they get better from it too. I'm just going to answer a few more questions. I was reading from there, and I'm going to read back here. Let's see. I keep mentioning sleep. How many hours do I sleep on average? I try to get about 9.5, like in bed from the time I hit the pillow to the time I get out of the pillow. But however much you're getting, just try and get 20 minutes more. It's kind of the same as stretching. How much stretching should I get? It's like, just get 20 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day. How much should I meditate? Meditate for 3 minutes. Create the habit. And with sleep, it's like, just get to bed earlier than you usually do, right? If you're sleeping, if you usually go to bed at 11 and you're waking up at 7, that's 8 hours, which is a good amount of sleep. Try and get 8.5, right? Just try and get 8.5, see how much better you feel. And yeah, it's like, oh, but I want to do more in the day. You'll do more in the hours you have with more sleep, right? So your hours will be more quality as opposed to more quantity. Do I take anything to help me sleep well? No. After a big competition or after a big flight, I'll sometimes have some melatonin, but I don't take it regularly, or else your body doesn't really produce it on its own. I just try and there's a lot of sleep health things you can do. If you want to learn more about sleep, Google Ben Greenfield sleep. Ben Greenfield sleep. He's got a bunch of sleeping hacks. Let's see. How often do I go for a full massage in a week or in a month? The same thing as stretching. Just go as much as you can. If you have the money, go every day. Chewable or pill or probiotic better? The only ones I've ever had for probiotics are pills. I can't really recommend. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm sure both of them are fine. Hopefully, make sure you get, if you already lost it in the comments, scroll up, get your sheet, click on that link I just posted. Let's see. Wow, 1:30 a.m. Thank you so much for staying up. Do you use any mind programming techniques? I mean, I read a lot of books on mental training. I get some help from Mindset RX. They're a company that does some help for athletes that want to improve on their mental training. I have a lot of videos, obviously, on the Professor Project site, and I think if you implement a lot of those things, you'll learn from me. But also Mindset RX, they're great. They've helped me a lot. And then I just read a lot of books. Just look up athlete mindset or just mindset training, and there'll be just lots of books and a lot of free material as well. I love Joshua Medcalf. He wrote the book called Chop Wood, Carry Water. Some great stuff on there. Okay, I think that pretty much covers it. Thank you so much again. I'm going to type in that link one more time here for those of you that are still along. So click on that link right now. Go get that sheet. I think that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Webinar, pacing. Hope you all learned a lot. Hope you had a lot of fun. I did. I felt like I was talking for 3 hours straight, but it was worth it. Yeah. One more question. Did I get any benefit from that sensory deprivation? Yeah, I still float all the time. It's a great way to relax. Go to a float tank, sensory deprivation tank, super relaxing. Thank you so much. Brent Fikowski, Professor Project. We're out of here. Appreciate everyone's time. Appreciate you listening so much. We'll see you soon. I'm going to Wadapalooza, doing lots of other fun stuff. Thank you so much. Going to West Coast Classic, California. Get your tickets if you're there. And here we go. Okay, I think that's it. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm going to leave this running so you get this link here. And then I'm ending the stream. Thanks. Have a good one, everybody.